Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Psychology and Spirituality, a Bridge to a Better Life discussion. I'm your host, Marcia Trajano, and with me is Dr. Anahy Fonseca. Anahy, it's so good to have you here in this conversation. We're going to talk about the current state of our world, the world that many of us say it's going through a large number of different crises. And before we go on, just let me perhaps thank everyone who's here with us, watching us, listening to us, and we appreciate you. We appreciate you being with us. And if this is the first time that you're watching or listening to this program, please note the Psychology and Spirituality weekly talks are based on the works by Joanna de Angelis. And we're here to offer this space, right? A open a space, a room, so that we can indeed confront, compare, correlate, and most importantly, expand our spiritual concepts from a psychological lens. And to do this, so that we can perhaps allow ourselves to find insights, tips, and even perhaps advice so that you and I can have a better life. Please do not forget our program is sponsored by TV Mansão do Caminho, the United States Spiritist Federation, the International Spiritist Council, and AMI Brazil. And before I start, Anaí, I just want to tell everyone hit subscribe if you haven't already done so. Check out our channels, right? And you can get more information by going to spiritist.us. And also, if you have any questions, any feedback, any criticism, anything at all, just write to us. We will read and we'll get back to you at the next available time. We are here talking today about this topic of collaboration and competition, right, Anaí? And I just wanted to tell everyone that there is a very interesting book I have here in front of me. It's called Finding Peace and Health by Joanna de Angelis. And we are going to perhaps bring some of the topics to light from that book. But Anaí, before we start our conversation, would you mind, will be a favor to me, but would you mind sharing a little bit about the upcoming program that you're involved? I understand it's a week-long event that will take place in August in Brazil. Can you tell us more about it, please?
Yes, hello everyone. So it's a pleasure to be here with my dear friend Marcia to talk about spirituality, psychology, and mainly the concepts that Joanna de Angelis brings to us. It's beautiful. And the idea is it's a program only in English, it's not translated to Portuguese. It's called Jung in Brazil, Spirituality and Culture, and has a subtitle Searching for the Spirit of the Dead in Modern Times.
Mm-hmm.
And why is that so important? It's going to happen in August this year, 2024, August 18th to 23rd, in Canela, up in the mountains in the very south of Brazil. It's a beautiful part of Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
And we are going to be there, Marcia and Josiah and many friends, and also Professor Lionel Corbett that teaches at Pacifica Graduate Institute in California. He teaches that psychology. And he's with me. We are friends and partners for the last 10 years, researching anomalous dash spiritual experiences. And why in Brazil and why Jung? Because we say, and Professor Lionel Corbett said this in a very beautiful way, that the world that we live in seems to have lost any sense of mystery. It's like we have disenchanted the world. because of course we need science, we need technology, but uh, it's a paradox because we kind of got stuck in very materialistic and rational world, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the wonder and the magic and the meaning that we find, we are children of this cosmic source of life, right? That we call God, this
Yeah.
transcendent being, life and beauty and love and harmony. And if we get stuck in the materialistic world, okay, we are here to learn in this duality of spirit and matter. And it's such a great opportunity, right? For enrichment of our spirits. But if we disconnect of the mystery of life, of
Mm-hmm.
the knowledge of our own psyche, and this transpersonal dimension of the psyche that Jung called the collective unconscious,
Yeah.
the concepts derived from it, like synchronicities, for instance, and also the anomalous experiences, the spiritual experiences, like mediumship, for instance, that spiritist knowledge studies so well and so deeply. So if we get disconnect, we disconnect from our higher self, our spirits, like as
Yes.
you said. So, and all the knowledge of our spirits, and mainly that it's really important here in this discussion, we disconnect from our mission. What are we doing in this world? And of course, the meaning of everything that happens to us.
Mm-hmm.
Because we say in psychiatry and psychology field that spirituality is searching for the meaning,
Yeah.
for the purpose of life, of ourselves, of what we're doing here. So if we disconnect from that, we get depressed, we get anxious, we get only thinking that we need stuff,
Yeah.
that we need to work, work, work without stopping, and that everything is outside of myself and
Yeah.
not inside of myself. And that everything that I am is what I possess, right? So, and Joanna de Angelis talks a lot about that, that if we get stuck thinking that my worth is only what I have, what I
Mm-hmm.
achieve in this life, well, that's very dangerous for our mental health and for our spiritual evolution. We can get stuck,
Yeah.
so we should not disconnect ourselves from the mystery that is this beautiful uncharted territory within ourselves, that it's our psyche, our unconscious. So that's why we decided to put searching for the spirit of the depths in modern times,
Beautiful.
because we want to enchant the world again.
Ah, what an opportunity. So
Yeah.
let me see if I can remember. It's going to be in August. It's going to be in Canela, which is a city in the mountains of Brazil, in the southernmost part of Brazil. It includes a panel of many experts, including Lionel Corbett, Walter Becha, Pedro Rezendi, Leonardo de Oliveira, and Alexander Moreira Almeida. Sorry, I'm butchering everybody's name. But most important, if you are interested, if you want to get more information, or if you want to tell other people, please go to www dot, and this is easy, junginbrazil.org. And I want to say thank you. Thank you for taking the time to talk about so beautifully about what is the program and the details and why it is important. And frankly speaking, what an opportunity to learn about Jung in the context of the culture and spirituality of the country of Brazil. And I have to tell you that when I hear about this event, Anaí, I keep thinking, yeah, Gustav Jung, right? But he did have a very, oh, can I say, antithetical relationship. At first, very collaborative, but there's a little bit of competition between him and Sigmund Freud. And we're not going to talk about this today, but I just thought, interesting how we have this two sides, the polarity between what we do and who we admire, who respect. And of course, I wanted to talk about or bring about as the context about our discussion about collaboration and perhaps competition. Anaí, I don't know if you heard, but there is a movie. It's many people in the U.S. don't even know about this movie, but it's called "The Gods Must Be Crazy." And if you who are here listening to this session here, this episode, and you never heard about it, please go to YouTube and it's available there. But it is set in Southern Africa, and it's a beautiful place, and it stars a Bushman, right, who is a hunter-gatherer of the Kalahari Desert. And in a nutshell, it's all about this tribe discovering a glass of Coca-Cola, yes, bottle. And I lived the majority of my life in Atlanta, the birth of Coca-Cola. So it's a very interesting movie from that sense. But the bottle is dropped from an airplane, and because of it, the tribe believes it's from their gods, right? So I'm not going to tell you the plot. I may ask you, Anna, if you can talk about the plot about this movie, if you remember. But it's all about the context, the disruption, and this journey to do something with this bottle of Coca-Cola. And before we start, I just want to say that, as I mentioned before, it is in the Kalahari Desert, right? But if you think about it, Anaí, at that area of the world in southern Africa, after a few months of rainy season, right? What happens to the territory is the water sinks into through the deep sands of the desert, right? So it's a sandy area and it just goes through very quickly. And for about 9 months out of the year, there is no water to drink. So what you do, right? From the ecosystem of that region, majority of the animals move away, but those people of the Kalahari, they live, they continue to stay. Those are considered, recognized as the Bushmen. And I love it. Whereas most people would die, I would certainly die of thirst, right? In 2, 3 days. Those individuals there, they live quite well in the desert. They developed a system of knowledge to know where to dig for roots, for bulbs, for tubers. They know which berries and which pods they can eat without getting sick, and even how to find water. But aside of survival, Anaí, this group of people, and I love it to say that they live in a kind of paradise, we could say, like a Garden of Eden, perhaps, because that population, that community, they have no crime, they have no violence, they have no need for justice or laws. They have no judges, no lawyers, no punishment, no hierarchy, no bosses. And with all of that really collaborative way of living with each other, they believe, and I love this, and they believe that the gods, plural, right, the African gods, they only interfere by being a source of goodness. They provide with only good things that are good, things that are useful for them to use. So for them, the Bushmen, there's no evil, there is nothing that is bad. They live in small groups of families, right? And they rarely get away. They don't need to. They live in this community that is very harmonious. And because of it, they are consequently unaware of other people around them, right? And I would imagine, don't know the concept of a civilized man, right? They are civilized without what we call civilized, and even when they hunt those individuals, they, instead of killing, they put an arrow with a substance to put the animal first to fall asleep. Then they go through that ritual of apologizing for praying, and then killing, and giving, asking for permission to feed their family members, right? So it is very, very interesting. But most importantly, I guess the most important thing, that this movie, it's fictional, of course, in portraying the Bushman, is that no one owns anything. So there is no sense of possession. So, Anahy, love if we can get started with a discussion about collaboration, competition from the setting of the movie. Can we perhaps talk about what are the so-called civilized men in an antithesis to the Bushmen of the movie?
Yes, it's great that you remember this movie, Marta, because actually in 1980, this movie is from 1980. I
Yeah.
was in the States. I was studying. I'm not going to say where I was. I was at high school. I have to say. So it's great, and all this discussion, because already that's like 20 or more years previous to internet, and 30 years
Yes.
previous to social media and things like
Yeah.
that, or more. But you see, they were already questioning using this metaphor. By the way, the movie is also a comedy. It's
Yes.
funny, we laugh
Yeah.
a lot, it's a lot. But it's quite interesting because people were already very worried with all the technology and
Hmm.
the lifestyle of what we call civilized man. Because the discussion that the movie brings is that we refuse to adapt ourselves to our surroundings, as the
Yes.
Bushmen did in the movie, of course. And I think in real
Hmm.
world, of course, there are tribes, but so, and Joanna de Angelis talks about this anthropo-socio development, psychological
Yes.
development of all this process of evolving consciousness and development of humankind. That we need crises. We talk about crises in this book that you find in
Yeah.
Peace and Health,
Yeah.
and in this chapter that we are talking about, chapter 2, about crisis and crisis in the world.
Yeah.
So crisis is all about change,
Yeah.
and evolution is about change. Nothing stays the same. Doesn't matter that our egos, our consciousness, our personality wants, hold on,
Yeah.
holds on to, I want to have this and this. Nothing can change. But time, we are ego, right?
Yeah.
Ego is here, at least.
Uh-huh.
Our consciousness are adapting to this world, this material world that we were talking. So we have time, we have chronos here, the time,
Yes.
chronological time of our watch clocks and this and that. So, of course, we are adapting. We have to be at work on time. We have to be at school, and we have duties to perform. And as much as we develop technology
Hmm.
to, make life a little less complicated and things easier for us, it's
Hmm.
a paradox because life is so complicated nowadays. If if you know what I mean. It's not because, oh, but okay, okay, we are different, at different ages, right? And people with different experiences of the world. We say that nowadays, small children, like they are born, playing games
Yes.
in in, right, in the virtual games and things like that, and mobile, everybody's filming
Yeah.
babies and putting, in the social media and things like that. This would be, so babies are used to someone not only taking pictures, that as we used to do in the past, but also filming, saying things, do that for mom, for dad, and then the child does this and that. It's
And
not that it's bad, it's the times that we live, but it's an adaptation, Marcia. Have you seen that?
but yes, but I wanted to just a thought that came across me, to my mind, because we talked about ego, right? And how in each of our lives the ego is there, being getting stronger and stronger to protect us, and we do this with the creation of persona. And persona, right, is the word for the masks in the Greek theater. So the persona is something that is temporarily used. So I put in my hand here as my mask to portray what I'm not. And when we talk about the children today, and you're speaking in the context of the disruption, how technology is disruptive, including to, we don't know yet the impact of having a baby, a year old. They can barely walk, if they can, but boy, they know how to hold that mobile device and play with it, right? And but with the filming and all of this, I'm wondering, just a thought, are we creating more and more stronger and earlier personas, right? Just because of that instrument that you, like a mask, right? Because smile, oh no, 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 let me delete this. Smile, let me delete. Oh, this one, let me post it. So there is this conditioning very early on what it is that we're supposed to look like, behave like, be like, right?
Yes, I have some babies in my family, from
Mm-hmm.
nieces and nephews that are having babies now. And what you said remind me of one of very cute 3-year-old
Uh-huh.
baby in my family, toddler, right? And the thing is that nowadays, I saw that in a family gathering. The father, I love the father, I love the toddler, but it was something that I couldn't, as a psychiatrist, not pay attention to. He would say exactly that. Oh, come, I want to take a picture, like say
Yeah.
Joseph would say, Joseph, I want to take a picture of you. Then the child is playing, then he does like that and he goes on, because he knows it's. So when you said it's like this, the mask, yeah, I
Yeah.
think we are teaching in a certain way, conditioning, maybe it's
Conditioning. Yeah. Yeah.
our children to make faces, and make faces is part of the persona. I would say, Martha, that it's not that we are not the persona, but the persona is constructed, it's built, especially from what helps adaptation,
Yeah.
and what many times what we wish we were, and not exactly what we are. So the thing is that if I wish I were this or that, of course I already have a value that's good. And
Yes.
psychologically speaking, that's okay because I value this. For instance, being a nice person,
Yeah.
being pathetic, or being smiling because I know that makes people happy. That's okay, that's good. But what if I this day or whatever, I'm very worried. I don't want to smile. It's not that I'm upset with people, but I want to be by myself. I'm a teenager, for
Mm-hmm.
instance.
Mm-hmm.
And then the parents get really mad because the teenager always, when it's a family gathering, wants to take a picture, and the teenager doesn't want to smile, doesn't want to take a picture.
To conform, yes.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
and then it's, oh, he's not, he's so bad behavior,
Yeah,
has a
yeah,
bad behavior, he this and that, and he's so boring, or he's not growing to be a nice person, maybe, and it's not that. It's because the teenage years, adolescence is a very complicated phase. We
yes,
don't know what we are. So people, the adults, should understand that, the teenager needs some space. Of course, doesn't mean, spoiling the kid and saying he can do whatever. No,
yeah,
but having some understanding that sometimes is not adequate to
yeah.
call. For instance, I'm just giving an example. But if I think and I project myself onto my kid, for instance,
Hmm.
I want him to be, we were talking about high school, so the celebrity, or
Yeah, yeah,
the really important person, the
yeah,
leader, and
yeah,
this and that. And so he has to smile. He has to have lots of friends. He has to be extroverted. And we haven't even talked about Jung's psychological types,
types,
right?
yeah,
And so if the kid is an introvert, there's no problem. He's going to be fine. Maybe he's going to be an artist,
yes,
or something like that. A writer, for instance, don't we all need artists
yeah,
and writers and people and philosophers and even psychologists?
yeah,
So I have to respect the psychological type. So if I don't know any of that we are talking about, and I think that my kid or myself, for instance, I have to smile, I have to be nice to people, then I create a persona.
yeah,
And the worst thing is that I can get stuck in my persona.
yeah,
I can I will have worth only if I'm like this, that like, a nice person that smiles a lot, that it's extroverted and things like that. And then everybody will love me. I will have a lot of likes or love my kid. And then I'm totally disrespecting, everything that I am. So I'm creating conflicts, as Joanna says. That's an inner conflict
yeah,
that I'm creating, for instance, in the child, in the teenager, and I'm creating a trauma, perhaps, and I'm creating some neuroses, some
yeah,
complexes.
yeah,
So we have to pay attention to that. As Jung said, we need more psychology. And as Joanna says, we need more understanding of psychology together with spirituality. So I think it's so
uh-huh.
important, as you said, because in the movie, for spoilers, 40 years,
Yeah,
spoilers,
you can do it.
sorry, people. But it's so important because, for instance, they show the kids of the Bushmen.
Yeah,
Okay, it's in the 80s, but there was a tribe that they called Bushmen in the
yeah,
Kalahari Desert
yeah,
and all of that. So they were very creative, they were very gentle, very well behaved, because they were very loved and they could grow in contact with nature, and they would be respected by everything that they create. And in the beginning of the movie, the person that it's introducing, that it's and the voice of the person that it's talking about this. And then the guy says, okay, and the civilized man that we are talking about, civilized, their kids, men
yeah,
and women,
uh,
their kids have to spend 10 to 15 years or in the school, only in the school, to learn how to adapt in their own environment that they created. So this was in the 90s. Imagine that, in the 80s, sorry.
yeah, uh-huh.
Imagine now that we have all this technological revolution, the computers,
Yes,
and that made artificial intelligence and all of this. So there are a lot of people out there afraid that they are not going to have jobs, for instance.
yeah,
So we are also in social crisis. It's
yes,
global,
yeah,
okay, But what I think that's so important, that it's so great that you brought this movie, because so that's a question that it's being asked by the movie. So who is the civilized man?
Yeah.
Bushman or what we call civilized man?
Yeah.
So what we see in the beginning, for instance, is that Bushmen are civilized, and when they show a big city and the day by day of people in the big city, there's this funny scene and came to my mind where the lady that's the main character,
Yeah.
she's working. She's a journalist, I think.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Previously, when she's getting a plane and going to the Kalahari to be a teacher and all this stuff,
Yeah.
but she's working. Then she, okay, then it's time to have a lunch. So she goes to have a lunch and sit and asks a lady that is sitting there if she can sit there. And said the lady is okay, says okay. And then she sits, started eating, and said, "Does the noise in my head bothers you?" And then she looks at the like, what's going on? You know, I can't remember the name of the lady that plays the main character, the
Yeah.
leading character of the. But she looks at that. So we are like, who is civilized? A person that is in the surroundings and then gets like crazy, you know, because the
Yeah.
noise in our heads
Yes. Yeah.
never stop. We say the monkeys never stop
Yes.
moving,
They
right?
never. It's
Right.
Kate. Kate is the character's name, right?
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. So yes, Kate looks at the lady and like, no, just don't bite me, please. Something like that. She doesn't say, but she looks like
But I love the honesty, right? Can you imagine? Can you imagine if we were more, perhaps more authentic, more transparent, that ask you, hey, Anaí, today I'm so stressed. Do all those thoughts disturb you? Because, and they do, right? In a way, they do. They disrupt our report, our how many times I'm just thinking here out loud, how many times we are in meetings and it's clear that we're here and there is a camera and we're talking like we are today, and there's somebody multitasking, and then you ask something and they go like, what? So why is it so difficult for us to be truly present, to be truly authentic? But I want us to go back to the idea of, because I really appreciate you talking about what is to be civilized. If we think about it, it's just a very comedic approach to this paradox, right? What is to be civilized, what it's not, and if everything that comes to our life, in the case of the Bushman, the bottle of Coca-Cola, as helpful and beautiful in everything that it did to that tribe, but it's so disrupted that it's better to just take it away, right? And that's the plot of the movie. Let me return this bottle because the gods must be crazy. It's pushing us. Do you remember what it pushed the tribe to change their behavior?
yeah, because they started using the bottle
Uh-huh.
to make music, you know, by
Yes.
blowing in the bottle and
Ye-
to make music. The bottle was something they said really beautiful because it was not water. Of
Yeah.
course, it was translucent.
Yes.
So it was not water, but it was hard. And they thought it was so beautiful, and that was hard, so it could help them cook because they would smash, right, the fruits and things like that to make
Yeah.
flour.
Yeah.
And they said it a real labor saving device that the gods sent to them in the beginning.
Uh-huh.
But the problem is that there was only one. The kids would play. Okay, there was only one. So what happened? There was, you know, nature. Everything is so abundant. You have a lot
Yeah.
of, so everybody, you know, had, like you say, Eden. a
Yeah.
paradise that everybody could share everything because there were so a lot of things.
Yeah.
But when there's only one, and everybody, suddenly they say everybody needed it. They never needed it because it didn't exist previously. It's
Yes.
falling from the sky, right?
Yeah.
So what happens that they start going there and picking up from each other. They start fighting. So jealousy and people being envy of each other, then violence, and
Yes.
it's some funny, but it's kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
because the children are playing, then one goes there and get, and well, no, it's mine, then just they smash with the Coca-Cola the head of the other. So the main character, the Bushman Key, right? I think it's
Yes.
his
Yeah.
name,
Yeah.
really goes there. He's kind of the leader, the hunter, and yeah, he grabs the things, tries to give it back to the gods, but it kept falling down.
I love that scene, right? He throw, okay, God, you threw it from the heaven above. It's gonna go back, but laws of gravity. Of course, it's gonna come back.
Yes. So they said they came to they got sad.
Uh-huh.
Remember a scene they were by the fire. They were
Yeah.
so happy,
Yeah.
always talking to each other. Then they were all sad, kind of depressed.
Yes.
So it's really interesting. And then he decided that he would go if the gods wouldn't pick it back. I mean, the
Ye-
bottle back again. So he would go to the end of the earth and throw
Yes.
it away
Yes.
because they arrived. The gods had always loved them and give
Yes.
them useful things, and now they had been careless
Yes.
and absent-minded because they gave something that was they decided an evil thing
Yeah.
because changed them. So I think psychologically speaking is so it's such a wonderful example of what
Yes.
Joanna de Angelis is saying. Of course, we are first very naive
Mm-hmm.
in a sense
Yeah.
that we are sharing things, but as soon as we have something that we never needed before, but
Mm-hmm.
then we say that it gives us comfort or some moments of happiness, then I want to have. Then selfishness, for
Yes.
instance, and the ambition, things like that, and envy, so arrive in us. So one of the things that Jonah said, if we are talking about spirituality and also psychology,
Yeah.
one of the things, Marcia, and everybody that are watching us and listening to this podcast like program, that I think we should think together
Yeah.
is that a crisis comes to help us change, in
Yeah.
a sense, evolve and grow.
Yes.
So we need not to judge, of course, because we don't know so much as being able to judge one another. We don't know even about ourselves, as you yourself were talking about the persona, and
Yeah.
we know we want to remember here that the persona is the complex opposite to the shadow in Jung's terms. So they are like a pair of two double cups, as we say in joke, right? So they are the opposite of it. The persona is everything that I think it's great and that will help me to adapt. And the shadow in Jung's terms is everything that the ego rejects because it's in opposition to the persona, right?
Yes.
And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's not going to help to me in adaptation to life and being loved and being appreciated. So what happens is that uh, everything that it's in the shadow that I don't know about. For instance, the Bushmen suddenly, just because there was something that fell from the sky, and of course the gods with, it's not with capital G, it's
Yeah.
the gods.
Yeah.
So it's small g. So
Mm-hmm.
the gods, like the Greek gods, are all projections of our inner world of issues, complexes, and archetypes that we are not conscious about. So, of course, the evil was
Yeah.
already there. It didn't fell from the sky with the bottle,
It's
right?
a very good point, right? It's so it invalidates the whole discussion of civilized and non-civilized, and it shifts to it's all inside of us, right?
All inside
It's
of us.
all inside of us. Yeah.
Yes, and brings this that spiritist knowledge brings so well, talking about reincarnation, about evolution, the law of progress,
Yeah.
that we are always evolving in consciousness, towards God, the unity, and
Hmm.
law, and using the love, the
Yeah.
force of love to do that. So we need to have discernment, not judgment, and
That's a very good point. Yeah. Yeah.
discernment to discern good and evil. This is good, this is bad. And of course, I will have a crisis, as the
Yeah.
Bushman, as he did with his family in his tribe.
Yeah.
Okay, this is bad for us because it made us have bad behaviors and
Yeah.
towards
Yeah.
each other. But in the process, they learned, they were a little less naive because
Yes.
they learned that they were able. Of course, they
Yeah.
still projected onto the gods. The gods
Yes.
were careless, the gods, but I'm quite, the movie doesn't go so much, if we could accompany this family tribe, what
Yeah.
they would tell and to each other and to future generations. Remember that time when the gods came. Remember that behavior. That was a bad behavior. We should
Yeah.
never do that again,
Yeah.
for instance. And
Yeah.
then we are evolving and learning to discern good and evil, light and shadow, right? Exactly, we are here supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
So I think it's wonderful that you remember this movie and this opportunity for us to discuss about that Joanna brings. And I also would like, Marcia, I know that we don't have much time to, because Joanna talks about, prejudice,
Yes.
that are born with this ignorance about our own shadows and all
Yeah.
the projection that we do onto each other. So that's why it's so important that we don't fight this crisis, that we just calm ourselves and try to understand, the meaning that it's behind everything that is happening to us.
Yes, absolutely. I think there's a lot of concepts in today's talk. So let me just try to review them. So we talked about collaboration, competition, and in the realm of competition, it's not the evil competition, but within the competition attributes, it's really leading to the shadow, right? It's leading to competition. It's leading to selfishness versus collaboration, where a group of people, even two people, can share without fear, without all of those sentiments that are very much childish, psychologically speaking, right? The other thing that we talked about is that this movie brings about is the fact that in a non-duality aspect, we all bring our persona meaning that fabricated outward looking uh, I'm projection of who we want to be able to meet the demands of the world, right? It's a projection of what we want to be, but then the shadow is what we exactly repress, but both of those aspects are who we are. Therefore, collaboration, competition, persona, shadow, we really need to start to embrace both sides of the same coin and learn to be there with those concepts are to hear. I wanted to just before we wrap up, I wanted to say that it's so important for us to understand that this conversation perhaps is to re-signify. It's this invitation for you, for me, for all of us to re-signify the idea of a sick world, right? Because when we say you are sick, therefore you need to heal. But I believe you said, Anahy, that crises, right? The crises that are the trigger for the world to be sick, it's just a question of a moment in time, a period of time that we're all are undergoing some sociological or psychological crisis, but they're here so that we are pushed upon, we're pressed upon the need to reevaluate who we are, what the opportunities are, and really to grab the courage to understand and accept paradigm shifts. I think if I can, before I give the mic back to you, if I can just say, let's have the courage to analyze if the gods are indeed crazy and if we're giving whatever that may be, a bottle of Coca Cola, a mobile device, a new home, a new job, whatever that is, if it is something that is creating such disruption that is bringing you to live in a world that is very difficult, very competitive, very hurtful, uh, we should have the courage to do something about it. Don't you think, Anaí?
I think it's beautiful, beautifully said. And listening to you, Marcia, I just wanted to say one last thing. I remember about Hermes Trismegistus, that
Mm-hmm.
it's an Hellenistic period figure.
Mm-hmm.
And Jung talks a lot about his, he like created Hermetica, that we
Mm-hmm.
call a series of ancient texts,
Yeah.
okay, that lay the basis of various philosophical systems. But why, if we are talking that, why bring Hermes Trismegistus? People can put in the Wikipedia and take a look. Because the Hermetic principle of correspondence,
Yes.
and that suggests that patterns
Yeah.
of the universe, that we
Yeah.
are part, we are cosmic beings, we are
Yeah.
made of the same substance of that makes, all the universe, okay,
Yeah.
repeats across different levels of reality.
Mm-hmm.
And in spiritist knowledge, we talk about different dimensions, and
Yeah.
Jung talks about the transpersonal dimension of the psyche, the collective unconscious. So this principle is summarized as, watch this, as above, so below, as within, so without. So
That's
this is
beautiful.
the principle of correspondence. So if we are fighting each other,
Yes.
and when we are fighting each other, when we are creating wars,
Yes.
when we are projecting shadows onto each other, okay, we are like, we are apart from this cosmic principle of correspondence. So we make, as the crazy gods from the movie, we make our own personal hell, let's say, because I'm
Yes.
not in harmony with the universe, with this law of correspondence. So if I'm feeling really dissociated of my light, because everybody in the higher self has a light. We are daughters and sons from this, the creative source of light, life in the
Mm-hmm.
universe that we call God, or any other
Mm-hmm.
way that people want to call it. So the thing is that the light is within us. So if we are get apart from this knowledge and from this principle of correspondence, that
Mm-hmm.
everything is deeply interconnected,
Correct.
and we are all interconnected. It's not it's not a problem at all to have a shadow. We are evolving together. The problem is that if I don't want to acknowledge and do the homework, that we are in this big school of ours called Earth to do some kind of homework and to learn more. And what's the homework? To learn about myself as deeply as I can, including my own shadow, to be compassionate towards myself so that I can integrate, I can accept everything that I am, and then I'm free to accept everything that my brothers and sisters in humanity are. And
Yes.
so it would be the end of any type of prejudice or manipulation,
Uh-huh.
and it will be, Marcia, the what we call in spiritist knowledge the regenerate world, when
Yes.
it's another step in evolution where we vibrate more according to this knowledge, to light that Joanna is helping us to learn, to study, to talk about, in like
Yes.
to watch from these movies and watch these movies and
Yeah.
other movies and
Yes. Yeah.
books and see in a different light as we
Yes.
see each other in a different light. Oh, I didn't like what my friend, my relative did. Okay, sometimes you won't like what I do, and everything is okay because we are all learning together. Discernment and cooperation in evolution. Isn't that great?
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. We are unfortunately at times, so I hate to say this, but we have to say goodbye. And until next time, and I thank you. Thank you for being here, everyone. Thank you for sharing this almost hour together, where we talk about collaboration, competition, but most importantly, the invitation to love, to be yourself authentically so. But with that, thank you so much, and I'll see you next time, Anaí.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Bye bye, Marcia. Bye bye, everybody.